Yesterday, Rock County reporter Margot Spann told us the story of a tree in Jefferson County that is the subject of a lot of emotion and controversy because the DOT wants to build a road where this beautiful historic tree is, and there's a movement underway to save it, but the DOT says unfortunately it will likely have to be removed. People can and do get very attached to certain trees, and this bur oak is one of them.
And although this isn't one of them, Wisconsin is home to hundreds of champion trees that are the largest recorded of a species. And UW's Bruce Allison is here. He's a professor of Department of Forest and Wildlife Ecology. He's written a book on Wisconsin's champion trees.
Good to see you again, Bruce.
Good to see you.
What is the attachment, do you think, about with human beings and trees?
Well, you know, it's a very strong attachment, but I think in part older trees particularly make us just realize, you know, that we all have a brief moment in time and that it's less than these trees. I mean, the oldest trees in Wisconsin are approaching 400 years old. Wow. The oldest trees in the world are approaching 5,000 years old. So I think they put our lives in a scale, and we sense that. And we take a look at the trees, and another book that I wrote that you're familiar with is If Trees Could Talk, which is a children's book to be able to tell them the stories that our grandparents told us, their grandparents told them, that these trees hold. I mean, they are the icons, they're the symbols that remind us of these stories. The story of John Muir, who was at a University of Wisconsin-Madison engineering student, but went outside and saw a big, beautiful black locust. It was inspired because of its beauty and its flowering and its recognition that it was connected to other plants, turned him from an engineering student into the naturalist that he became. So important things. So I think, you know, in many of our personal lives, we had a tree that maybe our mother planted when we were born. They become symbols. They really do make us more connected to the earth.
I planted a tree when my son was born, exactly that thing. And yesterday when we were doing the story about the bur oak in Rock County, people were literally bursting into tears talking about what might happen to that tree.
And I see that all the time. Of course, you know that I've been, spending a lifetime looking at trees, dealing with people's relationship to trees. It's very strong, and I'd make the argument that it goes beyond just a sense of history. I mean, there is a deep evolutionary connection there. Trees have a lot more to do with us than you realize. I mean, the chlorophyll has a chemical composition that is very similar to the hemoglobin within our body. In fact, it's the same molecule, except in the center of our hemoglobin we have iron, in the center of chlorophyll they have magnesium. So there is an evolutionary connection. We are related.
And the biggest bur oak in Wisconsin, I think we have a picture of it here in your book. It's in Dousman?
It's in Dousman. It's a remarkable tree.
Look at that.
Over 20 feet in circumference. And that clearly is approaching 400 years old.
Wow. And it's just something about that. They have such a shape, those bur oaks.
There's a beautiful symmetry, and they adapt so well to their environment. Don't we wish we could adapt as well to our environment?
Now, Bruce, I don't know if we should tell you this, but we're being told in our ear that we're getting word that the tree that we featured yesterday in Rock County did get cut down today.
Was cut down. Well, that's a sad moment, and it's a moment that was not unexpected. The Department of Transportation did a beautiful job in letting people know, and I was told by students early on, like a year and a half ago during the planning process, it might happen. And as you could imagine, I called the DOT. I said, is there anything we can do? They took a look at all different options, and that seemed to be the fate of that particular tree. But the good news is trees can be planted.
Renewable resource.
We can now put another tree in somewhere else, or maybe 10 trees somewhere else, that maybe 150 or 200 years from now somebody will look back and remember that we love trees so much and our earth so much that we chose to plant a tree that we couldn't sit in the shade of, but would be available for somebody else, our future generations.
And someone will write a book about it. Bruce, thanks for being with us again. Great
Good
to
see you, Bruce. Thank you for
seeing
coming in tonight.